Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Real Estate Happy Hour Weekly. I'm your host, Chris Wright. So this is going to be a great show for those of you who might be thinking about leaving your 9 to 5 or your corporate job to seek entrepreneurship. I know it's a tough transition. It's scary, but you have to think about family, bills, financial commitments, healthcare, and other benefits. And those are some of the things that keep, hold you back. And you don't want to let go. You just don't want to let go. There's the downside of feeling like you're in a rut, though, sometimes, the lack of upward mobility sometimes, slow pay increases, just not having the time, to do the things that you love. So I get it. I really get it. Back in 2013, I decided to seek a career in real estate, and I left corporate America. It was a very, very challenging transition. A lot of adversity came along with that. But, I got a little burnt out, even in real estate after 9 years. And I tried the corporate world. So I just want to let you know, I understand the feeling and how some of you feel. They're two different worlds, corporate America and entrepreneurship. So today I brought in a special guest. His name is Jeff Miller. Some of you know him. And he's a colleague of mine from the real estate mortgage world. And we're going to meet Jeff on the other side. This is the Real Estate Happy Hour, and I'm your host, Chris Wright. It's a fun place where we talk real estate, pop culture, and what's trending. Hey, I might even give you some good advice, so grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and take a listen. Unless you're driving, of course. I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, like I said, today we have a truly inspiring guest, Jeff Miller. Seasoned real estate investor. He's embarked on this remarkable journey through the world of corporate America to entrepreneurship. He has an extensive background in banking and the mortgage industry. And Jeff just brings a wealth of experience to the table, totaling over 29 years of experience in corporate America. Now, what makes Jeff's story even more fascinating is his recent leap of faith. He bid farewell to the corporate career and dove headfirst into the world of entrepreneurship. Chased his dream as a full-time real estate investor, but that's not all. Jeff is he's not your typical business guy. Alongside his adventures in the real estate market, he's a proud owner of a quaint and comfy coffee shop in Stillwater called Upton Coffee Company. The coffee company isn't just any coffee shop, it's a haven for those seeking high-quality coffee, teas, lattes, and espressos, and he considers himself a barista as well. So Jeff has curated a delightful menu featuring pastries, bagels, and other delectable goods. And it's sourced from the local area, so local bakeries. So that's awesome. But he's created a space that goes beyond just, serving coffee. And it does foster community and warmth. In this episode, Jeff will take us through the steps he took to transition from a secure corporate job, that holds us tight, to the unpredictable yet fulfilling world of entrepreneurship. And he'll share some of his insights into how he's leveraging his passion for real estate investing to grow his real estate portfolio and establish a network amongst fellow business owners. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
How'd you like that introduction? Did I miss anything?
Oh, it was fantastic. No, it was spot on, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So how's your family good? Tell us about your family.
Yeah. My family is doing great. I have been together with my wife for just over 20 years. We have 2 kids. Tessa's 15 now. Ava is 9. So yeah, they certainly keep me busy, and they're doing great.
I got girls of my own, so I do, and I got a girl in college. I have one in high school, and one that's going to middle school. Time's flying, man.
It really is. And you funny, you mentioned the college thing. Obviously I left corporate America, but I still have to make plenty of money because both my kids are going to go to college, and that's not cheap. So we got to still get out there and hustle a little bit.
Awesome. So listen, before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about the coffee shop. I'm really
Yeah.
interested. What made you do that? Why'd you want to do a coffee shop? I've
Yeah.
always wanted to do a bar, but I've heard there's a lot of problems that come with that.
There is, and actually, I have my beer and wine license too for the coffee shop, so we're kind of deviling into that a little bit.
Hmm.
But with the coffee shop, Chris, I've been kind of a side hustle guy my entire life. So even though I was in corporate America for 20 years, right? Yeah, I know you had a lot, you still have a lot going on,
Hmm.
but I've always been one of those guys that I've never been comfortable with just having a job, just a 9 to 5 job. I've always had side hustles. My wife jokes that I've always had 5 jobs. One full-time job and then 4 kind of that just kind of move in and out. So the coffee shop, I bought a commercial building in 2018, and the very first time I walked through it, there was a law firm in the front corner downstairs, and I walked in with the guy I bought the building from, and I just casually said, "Oh, this would be a great spot for a coffee shop."
Right.
And I don't know why I said it, and I just that's kind of the vibe that I had when I walked. It was set up as an office at the time.
Right.
And the guy kind of paused and he said, "Geez, in the 50s, this was a coffee shop. That's interesting."
Hmm.
So it always was in the back of my mind. And then in about almost exactly a year ago, the woman that was renting that space from me moved her shop. And I went home that day and said to my wife, "I'm going to open a coffee shop." And Chris, the funny question was, she said, "What do you know about coffee?" And I said, "Well,
Right.
I know how to drink it. I know how to order it. But I knew I could figure it out." So it's been a real humbling experience. It's harder than I thought.
Mm.
But as you said in the intro, a coffee shop is kind of that communal base, especially in a small town.
Right.
So I just love that people come in, they have their laptop, they grab a latte from us, they sit down and they start doing their work. And that is why I did it. So there was a walking sense of a communal aspect for my town. So I'm pretty proud of it. And it's been fun.
The great part about that is my real estate office, Oxford Property Group, is 2 doors down from Coffee
Yeah.
Planet.
Yeah. Great
And
place. Great coffee
it
shop.
is a great
Yeah.
place, but not only that, it's like I said in the intro, it is community. Like you
Yeah.
see it's like Cheers. You walk in there and you say hello to at least 3 or 4 people every
Yeah.
time I go in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always see
And
people in new that I
that
know.
that
It's
that
awesome.
was one of the coffee shops that I went to when we were first planning it. Like, all right, let me kind of get the vibe of how all this works. That's a great spot. So yeah, every time people come into our coffee shop, it's the same thing. They know me, they know my staff, they know 2 people that are waiting in line, they know 2 people that are sitting there, or even Chris. There's a huge sense of satisfaction when I'm driving through my town, and when I'm not working, when the coffee shop's open but I'm not working there, and I'll see somebody walking in my town holding one of our cups.
That's
And
awesome.
I know where they just came. It's like, okay, that's cool. It's not a big conglomerate. They're not holding one of the big national companies. They're holding a local. They're supporting the local community, and that's really the main reason why I did it.
So the majority of people that are going to watch this, they know you as Jeff Miller, the mortgage guy,
Yeah, that's what I was known for for a long time.
for a long time. And so you diving into a cold pool, so to speak, of
Yeah,
entrepreneurship. Now, what they don't probably know is that in the background you had this real estate investment, thing going on. And if
yeah,
they did know, they probably thought it was just a little hobby on the side. They didn't know how serious you were about it. So share a little bit about the background in the mortgage industry and the banking, and what
yeah.
inspired you to take the leap into real estate investing.
Yeah, I've been in the mortgage world for, as you said, 29 years. It's tough to hear that number out loud, but it was 29 years. Started when I was just over 20, and I'm 49 now, so it's right there. So yeah, again, as I said, I always had a good corporate job, but knew I wanted a little bit more. So the side hustle just came natural to me. And what really got me into real estate investing was my brother. My younger brother wanted to start. He was 19 at the time, and I was a lot older than he was, and he wanted to buy a rental property. He couldn't do it on his own because he was too young, so we did it together.
Right.
We bought a house in Albany, and that's kind of where it started. And then he and I bought a couple on our own, and then I started branching off and buying some other stuff, and it just I look at it sometimes, my real estate business and my real estate investing is kind of like the, slow, methodical approach.
Hmm.
I bought one or two rental properties per year
Right.
for 20 years.
Mm.
And then,
Wow.
so before I knew it, I looked back and like, oh yeah, I have 10 rental properties, but I was only buying, one a year. Then it was two a year. And then a few of the years it was three or four, so it balanced out. But it was just a slow, methodical thing. I was never one of those guys that went out and bought 15 properties in a year,
Right.
but I never had a year that I didn't buy at least one.
Hmm.
So it was just longevity, I just kept doing it. And that's what kind of led me to my success. And then before I knew it, once you get up to that 30 or 40 number of properties, it provides a certain level of stress, risk, and comfort all at the same time where I
Right.
know revenue coming in. And that kind of led me to my thought process of why am I going to this 9 to 5 every day
Hmm.
when I have this other thing that's kind of producing money on a really part-time basis.
Right.
Imagine if I
And
did it full time.
you hold some and rent them, and you flip some and sell them, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think any real estate investor is kind of a combination of all of those things. So every property I go into that I buy, I kind of have the mindset that I'm going to flip it. That's kind of
Hmm.
where the math formula works. Like, is there equity and can I flip it?
Hmm.
But then sometimes it just makes sense to keep them as a rental. Chris, I've been doing this a long time, but sometimes you spend too much money on the rehab. So then you have to keep it as a rental because there's
Yeah.
no profit there to sell it. So you keep it as a rental. And then other times, I kind of got into the bigger units 5, 6, 7 years ago, where
Hmm.
we started buying 4 units and 8 units, and I bought a 10 unit building not too long ago. So those are the long term holds, just because of the cash flow standpoint. So, and then the real, not to go too deep into real estate investing, but now that I've been doing it for as long as I have, I'm starting to sell the properties that I bought as rentals 15 years ago. So they've doubled or tripled in value, and now it just makes sense to put those on the market and sell it and kind of re-cash flow myself, so to speak. So
Right.
real estate investing just gives you lots of different exit strategy options, and as an investor, we'll look at all of them.
So I want to go a little personal. I
Yeah.
remember in 2013, I was working for a company in telecom, and the I sat down, scared, fearful, had this conversation with my wife. I think I want to be a real estate agent. Oh, that's great. No, I mean, I really want to be a real estate agent, and I'm going to leave my company.
Yeah.
You like a six-digit income, all the benefits, healthcare, all the
Mhm.
securities that you have wrapped around your household, and the look of fear and trepidation that comes over. They go, "Sure, honey, I'm with you."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how do you approach that conversation with your family and your loved one?
Yeah, that's I could do 2 hours on that topic right there because that's been a forever process, right? Like
Mhm.
anytime you have a family, I'm married, I have children. It's a family decision. It really is. I made the sacrifice to go to work every day to provide for the family, but I'm doing it for all of them.
Right.
So I guess the easiest way for me to explain that is in my corporate life, I just got sick of the corporate grind. I
Yeah.
got tired of, meetings that tracked meetings and, all the kind of stuff that goes along with corporate America. I just
Right.
kind of had it up to here. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And I found myself going to the office every day and I was in a bad mood every day. I just couldn't,
Mm.
I wasn't inspired to do that. And Chris, you're a pretty, energetic, passionate guy about what you do. And I try to be as well. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, when I would wake up thinking about my life or my businesses, I wasn't thinking about my corporate job. I was thinking about my real estate. I was thinking about my coffee shop. I was thinking about other things. So I had lost my, passion, for lack of a better term, for my corporate job. So when I officially made the decision, I texted my wife and I said, "Hey, get a babysitter tonight. We're going out to eat. I got to talk about my job situation." And she knew what I was talking about, because we had talked about it so many times in the past. And like any good spouse and partner, she had a lot of questions and wanted to make sure our family was secure. And, Chris, the way I said it to her was, I'm done. I'm done with that part of my life. I don't know how
Mhm.
else to say it. I'm done.
Right.
I just kept saying that. And after I said it like 3 times, she just said, "Okay, how can I help? What are we going to do? And how's it going to work?" And then it just all shifted to how do we do it and not if we should do it. And then it was a very quick process. We had dinner on a Wednesday. I went in
Where'd
on
you go
Thursday.
eat? Give them a shout out. Where'd you go eat?
we went to Active Ingredient, which is
Okay.
a brewery in Malta.
I know it well.
Fantastic place, great food, great beer selection, cool
Yeah.
spot, close to my house, so I love it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm glad you made me do that shout out because they definitely
Yes.
deserve it.
Yes.
That's a great spot.
Mhm.
And we had dinner Wednesday night, a couple of drinks, and talked about it. And I went in the office Thursday, kind of cleaned out my desk a little bit, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do it on Friday. This was in December. I wasn't sure exactly when I was going to do it. And then Chris, that night on Thursday, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and just could not sleep. Um, I felt like I was in complete limbo because I knew I was going to do this. I just didn't know when. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I wrote a resignation letter and I emailed it to myself. So it was in my email, ready to go.
Yeah.
I went back to bed, woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, ran to my computer to see if I actually wrote it. And it was there. And then went into the office and emailed it to my HR guy. And that was it. And the weight came off my back. And in the last 6 weeks since I did it, I've been working my tail off. I've been re-energized. Everything I do is for myself.
Right.
I'm working more hours than I've ever worked in my life. I'll say
Yeah.
that. I quit my day job and now I work
Yeah.
more hours.
People think I'm gonna be my own boss. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, so I have more time and flexibility.
No. I think that's, the one benefit to corporate America is it does provide some structure and a lot of downtime. There's a lot of downtime in corporate America, right?
Right.
And that was one of the other things that I kind of was frustrated with, but there is downtime in the
There is.
self-employed world. There is no downtime. I'm running to the next appointment, running to the next meeting. I have to generate my own leads. I got to generate my own business. So I joke now that I'm either working or I'm sleeping. There's really not a lot of in between stuff with that. But again, I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. I'm excited and re-energized, like I'm 20 years younger all of a sudden.
Right. So, can you share some of the key steps or strategies
Yeah.
that it took to grow your portfolio of real estate?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think education is the key, right? So many times, especially when we talk about real estate investing, a lot of times people will ask me for advice or how to do it. And I always tell people, sit on YouTube for hours, just
Ooh.
watch videos, learn, right? YouTube University. I joke about it all the time, but it's how I learned a lot of my stuff. And find a mentor, find someone that's been doing it. Volunteer to work for free with somebody to learn how to do it. This isn't rocket science, right? Real estate investing is buying low, rehabbing it, and either selling it or refinancing and keeping it. It's a pretty provable formula these days. So once you learn that formula, it can scale pretty quickly. So I think education is the key to real estate, and then network, right? So a lot of times people ask me where I get my leads, and I get my leads from real estate agents. I get leads from the MLS, but I get a lot of deals off market, and those are, I don't want to say the best deals, but those are the deals that we look for.
Right.
And that just comes because I have a great network. So I think people take for granted their network, their sphere of influence, whatever you want to call it. But make sure people know what you do and really maximize that. I get a lot of leads now out of longevity as well, because people know that this is what I do.
Right.
So, educate yourself, work hard, and really network in a like-minded community, and good things will happen.
What about the risk management of real estate, the market? Like, how do you overcome those hurdles, and what are some of the risks we should be concerned about in real estate investing?
Yeah,
I know that's a long topic. Give me the cliff notes.
It is, but I think I can answer it this way: is I think it's all a matter of risk is all a matter of perception. So when I tell people how many real estate units or rental units I have,
Right.
sometimes people go, "Oh, wow, that's a lot of risk," and I look at it as the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
There was more risk when I only had one or two, because if those tenants didn't pay me, I had to pay the bill.
Right.
Once you scale and you start going and you start hitting at about 10 to 15 units, geez, 5 of them could not pay me. And as long as the other 10 pay me, there's enough money to pay at least the mortgage, you know?
Right.
So as you scale it, it actually lowers your risk a little bit. So the risk is starting. So the way I tell people all the time is, don't quit your day job. I was working on it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of my first couple real estate deals that I lost money on, or we had to evict people and I went 6 months with no rents. If I didn't have a day job, I don't know how I would have survived. So my day job was important. So to me, it's all about the side hustle. It's all about start small, but never give up. Just keep doing, keep learning. Real estate's a proven formula. Even those properties that I bought in the beginning that I bought wrong and I lost money on,
Right.
those are the ones that now have tripled in value and I'm selling them for huge profits, or now refinancing them, pulling money out. There's all different strategies. So I don't know if that directly answers the question,
No,
but
it does, because I just thought about how many real estate investors lost their shorts during the pandemic, and it's
yeah.
probably because they didn't have enough. Right? Would you
I
say that?
I think so, yeah, and trust me, Chris, I had a few sleepless nights when the pandemic first hit. I was
Mhm.
wondering if tenants were gonna pay me, and I know some landlords got hit pretty bad, but I knock on wood, I did pretty good. Most of my tenants paid me, and also, I think some of that is strategic on where you buy the properties. Do you have good property management? What was your screening process for the people that you rent to? I think the landlords that lost their shirt were people that weren't screening tenants properly.
Yeah.
Probably the tenants had probably already struggled with payments the whole time. You know, my tenants that I screened good, had good jobs, all paid me.
Right.
The ones that didn't were the ones that didn't pay me before the pandemic either.
Hmm.
So I think again, it comes down to that education. You know, make sure you're screening tenants properly. Make sure you're buying properties in good areas that if you have to, you can sell them. You know, I get leads all the time, and they're properties that I know if I buy it, if I ever want to sell it, it's going to be tough to sell it.
Hmm.
Those aren't properties I want. I want properties that I can turn around and sell very quickly if I need to.
Right.
And I'm always thinking about that exit strategy when I buy the property. So I think that's just proper business. And I think when you do it the right way, you can withstand a pandemic
Right.
and still be able to come out the other side.
So, how have you been able to, like, establish a network amongst fellow business owners?
Yeah.
And why is the community building so important?
You know, I think people, well, I'll start with the last one there. Why is it so important? I think when you network with other self employed people, with other people that are into networking, other people that are into lead generation, they're easier to network with because they're more susceptible to it,
Yeah.
right? I used to always joke when I was in the mortgage business, I used to always joke that networking with realtors is the easiest thing in the world
Right.
because they're professional networkers. They're trying to generate leads. And I'm coming and say, hey, how are you? Can I help you? They say, yes.
Hmm.
So that's the key thing. Network with people that are actually interested in networking with you. I've always found it very easy because of who I networked with. I networked with like-minded people. It never seemed hard. You know, whenever I would go to a non-real estate function, networking seemed to get more difficult because people didn't want to talk to me. So if you network with like-minded people, I think it's very easy. And then, the first part of that question is, why is it important? Is lead generation is everything. I don't care what business you're in, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a mortgage guy, whether you're an investment guy, or, with me with my coffee business. It's about generating new customers and keeping them coming in.
Right.
Lead generation is everything. And I think as business owners, I don't think people do it enough. I think sometimes we get like, Chris, you asked me before if I'm working at the coffee shop, and that's kind of part of the problem. Is yes, I'm at the coffee shop a lot. I should be out networking more and go meeting with
Right.
more businesses and doing more promotional deals. Lead generation is what we all should be doing if we're in some sort of sales business. To me, it's the whole business.
Speaking of which, and I'm going to go back and forth a lot,
Yeah,
but when you said you got you told me you got your beer and wine license for the coffee
I
shop.
did.
Are you going to
Yeah.
be using like local crafts beers, like active ingredients? Or
Yeah. We certainly are.
that's awesome.
So my coffee shop closes at 1 o'clock every day. So we're open from 7 to 1. We
Hmm.
really focus on that coffee and that breakfast side. So then, just again, as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, my business is closed at 1 o'clock and doesn't make any other money.
Right.
So for the last 6 months, we've worked on it. We got our beer and wine license, and we're going to open, a couple times per month at night and turn the
Nice.
coffee shop into a little wine bar.
Get some live
We did
music, maybe.
yeah, we'll have some music going. We have some outdoor seating, and we'll do it a couple times per month. And and again, to me, it's not a bar. To me, it's that communal aspect. I love sitting with someone. Like whenever I meet with somebody, Chris, it's typically over a cup of coffee
Hmm.
or over a glass of wine. To
Yeah.
me, that's just kind of part of the getting to know somebody process. To me,
Right.
so. Those are the two things that I'm focused on doing. So yeah, stay tuned for some beer and wine nights.
That's
You're
awesome,
definitely
man. I love, I hang out at Henry's Tavern in
yeah,
Boston Spa a
yeah,
lot, but I
yeah,
just
great stuff.
love Mr. Brisbane on his acoustic guitar over in the corner
Yeah,
playing.
yeah,
It just
yeah.
makes for a nice atmosphere. So I do like.
It
I
really
think
does.
I think Mocha Lisa's Cafe was also doing something like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think a lot of places now, again, it's just about, and I've talked about the beer and wine license, but it's really just about, kind of capitalizing on all aspects of your business, right?
Right.
So even as a real estate agent, are you capitalizing on all aspects of your business? Is there a certain part of lead generation that you're not doing at all? And that's how I looked at every evening at my coffee shop. Well, it's closed. Well, how do I generate business at night? Well, I'm not going to sell cappuccinos and espresso shots at 9 o'clock at night.
People want to
But
go to
maybe a
bed,
glass of
right?
wine people would want to do. So
Yeah.
just always thinking about just the next business idea. It's the way my mind works.
Awesome. So, what are some of the, and this is for the audience because they're learning from this. What are some of
Sure.
the significant challenges you face as a full time entrepreneur?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing, and I also think it's a little bit of a misconception, but one of the reasons that I stayed at my job for as long as I did, and when I really started talking about leaving corporate America, the first question everybody asked me was, "Oh, what are you going to do for health insurance?" Right? I mean, that was the question my wife asked 6 times in that dinner. Like, "What? Tell me about the health insurance again. How are we going to do it?" So I think it's just corporate America provides so many what we think are just hooks into us that we can't do on our own. And I found out very quickly that there's lots of options out there.
There
So
are.
my health insurance is a little bit more expensive than it was
Yeah.
before, but not much.
Yeah.
I have to pay a little bit more of a copay, but not much more.
Mm.
So I think that was one of the biggest challenges. Getting those services taken care of that we rely on our employers to provide for us.
Right.
So that was health insurance was number one. I think number two was the corporate structure. My job provided a lot of significant structure for me. I kind of had to be there at a certain time. I kind of could leave at a certain time. And then when you make that jump into entrepreneurship and full-time entrepreneurship, you have to set that structure yourself. And not only to work, but also sometimes to not work.
Mm.
When you have a corporate job, if you're in banking, it ends at 5, 6 o'clock. You could still talk to some leads at night, but
Yeah.
the bank's closed, the rates are over, your job's done. When you're like I
Except,
am
except for the
now,
realtors that are texting you at 8 o'clock at
of,
night.
of course, that's 24 hours a day. But
Right.
it's that, and I look at real estate agents as self-employed
Yes,
entrepreneurs. I
we
mean,
are absolutely 100%.
for that same 24-hour cycle,
Right. Right.
so that's the hard. So it's the structure. The challenge was, will I be as motivated? And then also, will I be able to shut it down when I
Mhm.
need to? I
Right.
could very easily take vacations when I was at corporate America. I find it challenging to take vacations. My family wants to go to Florida, and I'm like, I got too much stuff going on. I don't know
Right.
if I can. When in corporate America, I was like, well, I'm going to take 3 weeks vacation this year. So it's the structure of it, and also the discipline to actually shut it down on occasion. Those have been some of the challenges for me.
I heard Trevor Noah say one time, um, when he decided to quit the Daily Show, he said, "I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in life-life balance because it's all life." Right.
Yeah.
So you got the coffee shop, you got the real estate investment, you got family. How do you balance all that? Tell us how you do that because people are worried about, am I going to have enough time for my family? And you know what?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest and sincere about this. There are a lot of family dysfunction and breakups because we get too deep into our business. So how
Yeah.
have you been able to do that, and what's working?
Chris, that's my biggest challenge right now in life.
Mhm.
So I'm struggling with that myself.
Thanks for the
But I think it
transparency.
comes down, but I think it comes down to communication, right?
Yeah.
I've had multiple conversations with my wife and my kids that, hey, dad's doing something a little different now, and I'm gonna be focused on this a little bit. I'm still here. I'm still here every day. I'm still home every night for dinner, but I am starting a new thing. So I think as long as you communicate it and they understand why I'm doing it, I think that helps a little bit. I think when
Yeah.
you just work 20-hour days and don't tell anybody and don't talk about it, they're
Mhm.
like, where is he? So as long as I'm communicating it, and for me, my wife, I don't know if she'll listen to this or not, but she's a saint. I don't know how she puts up with me. I have a pretty strong support system where my
What's your
wife
wife's
takes
name?
care. Nicole is my wife's name.
Nicole. Here we go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. She takes care of a lot of the stuff, so I can go do this. And I don't say it enough, but I'm very appreciative of that. It allows me to do that. But it comes down to communication.
Mhm.
She has to know the why behind it. My kids have to know the why behind it, and then also it still just comes down to personal discipline. Like my daughter has basketball every Tuesday night, and I've made the commitment to bring her there every Tuesday night. So there's things on my calendar that I have written down that I have to go to.
Yep.
So again, I don't know if that directly answers the
No,
question,
no.
because
Here's the thing:
I
as busy
never
as I
believed in work-life balance either. I've never believed in that. I'm a focused person to my career and my income, and I'm money motivated.
yeah,
So, and my family knows that.
yeah.
So again,
No,
as long as everyone accepts it, I think it's okay. But I can see how that can create a big wedge.
right.
For
No,
sure.
as busy as I am, I know my daughter has piano on Monday nights. That's why I told you I had to do piano tonight. Tomorrow
Yeah,
night's gymnastics. I have to do. I take her to gymnastics. When my oldest daughter, who's in college now playing softball, I was there for the full ride at games, at travel, at practice. So that's just something that we carve out and we
yeah,
make it a part of the whole stick. It's what we do. So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you got,
yeah.
I get it. You have to schedule it though.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to just play the other side of it, there certainly have been events that I've missed.
Yeah.
I missed some of the volleyball games for my older daughter last year.
Mhm.
And I think it's just, if you miss them, you got to make it up somehow. You got to send 5 text messages and say, "Hey, what was the score? Send me some videos." You got to watch the videos when you get home. You got to give the extra hugs the next day. I think that's part of it as well, because we're not perfect. And my wife knew 18, 19 years ago, when we first kind of started to get serious, that I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. Even though I had a 9 to 5 job, I always had side hustles there.
Mhm.
So I think she accepted kind of how I am a long time ago. At least I hope she's accepted how I
Right.
am.
Right. So, um, do you find any synergies or skills that translate from the coffee shop to the real estate investment to your corporate job you had? How does all that tie in? And what have you learned? Like, I think working in corporate America for 29 years is probably equivalent to 10 MBAs. So, how do you have you been able to transfer some of those skills from one to one?
Yes. I think corporate America really taught me how to communicate, how to how to value people, how to kind of navigate tough situations, how to work with people that maybe you don't like and you don't agree with. Corporate America really taught me how to do all of those things, because over 29 years, there was a lot of executives that made decisions that I did not agree with,
Hmm.
but then I had to carry out that function.
Right.
And I learned how to do that. I learned how to phrase things in my own manner, to communicate the message and say it the way I needed to say it for my own integrity, but still communicate what I needed to do for my job. So I think that's the biggest thing that I learned in corporate America. And I think I have kind of brought that over to my self-employment side, because I think I communicate pretty well because of that. Talking to customers every day at the coffee shop, making them feel
Hmm.
comfortable, wanting them to come back,
Right.
making the tenants actually like you so they pay you and they don't screw you when the pandemic. All of those things. So again, I think, and I think I've said this already a few times, but I think communication is the key to any business. I've never met somebody that's a poor communicator
Hmm.
that then went on to be successful in
Right.
entrepreneurship. I'm sure there's some examples of it, but people that I know that are very successful are good communicators. They can communicate their message, their beliefs, and still kind of hold on to their integrity at the same time. And I think
Right.
that's kind of what I try to do anyway in all aspects of my businesses.
Okay, so you're a dad. You've been a coach, you've been a mentor, you've been a boss, a leader. So tell me a little bit about what advice you would give someone who's thinking about making a similar leap into entrepreneurship, be it real estate investment or something else.
I would say do it before it's too late,
Ooh,
right?
good answer.
I was the type of person that 5 years ago, I'm 49 now, I'm about to turn 50. 5 years ago, I remember 45 years old or so. My real estate business was starting to go. My rentals were going well. I was making money on that side. And I just felt locked into my corporate job. I kind of felt that I was stuck. I kind of felt institutionalized, for lack of a better term,
Yeah,
that I had to keep this corporate job. It was also my identity. I was Jeff, the mortgage guy. I was Jeff from this company.
yeah.
And I felt kind of stuck. And then 5 years went by in a blink of an eye. And Chris, my biggest fear, and the reason why I did it when I did it, and when I said to my wife, "I'm done, I'm doing this tomorrow," was because I knew, time flies by. I knew if I didn't quit that day,
Hmm.
5 more years would have gone by and I would have been 55 years old and it would have been too late.
You know,
So
it's something about that number 50 that brings immortality or mortality to realization. It, it's coming. You
yeah,
know, we're closer to the other side than the front side. So,
heck yeah. And they start to fly by, right? Like
bye bye.
46, 47, 48. So I talk to a lot of people that are, in their 30s and they say they hate their job and
Like,
I
what are you
say,
doing?
quit. I go, quit. You can fail and still go back to corporate America if you want, if you have to,
Mm-hmm.
but do it. Time is going to fly by. And I just wanted to do it before it was too late. And I felt that window closing and it made me nervous that in a blink of an eye, I was going to be 55, 60 and it was going to be over. So that's my biggest advice for people. Don't be afraid to fail. I don't even know what that even means because there's so many opportunities in this world, right?
Yeah.
And also, Chris, you're like me. You're a hustler. I'll go work. I'll deliver pizzas on Friday nights if that's what I need to do to pay
I
my
did. I
bills, right?
did DoorDash during the pandemic.
Heck yeah, dude.
I didn't care.
So I'll do whatever I have to do. I just got to a point in my life where I didn't want to do it for anybody else.
Right.
And that's my biggest advice. If you're thinking about entrepreneurship, if you have a passion, if you have a side hustle, my God, start it. You don't have to quit your job today, but start that side hustle. Because, Chris, I got to a point in my corporate job where, as I said, I was done. If I didn't have the side hustle, I'd still be there. The only
Yeah.
reason I quit was because I started the side hustle 20 years ago
Mm-hmm.
and I was in a position where I could. And the other thing I find interesting about the next generation, people that are a little younger than us, but the idea of having a 50-hour-a-week job as your corporate job for the rest of your life, those days are so long gone.
It ain't
At my
happening, brother.
at my coffee shop, I have 3 employees. None of them have full-time jobs, and none of them want full-time
You don't want
jobs.
it.
They have 3 18-hour jobs, and that if they lose one, they just go find another part-time job.
You know why? Because
The
the
world is
social life is
changing.
more important.
Yeah,
The social
and they
life.
don't want to be beholden to one employer.
Right.
They can't find that concept, and that's ultimately why I made the decision. I didn't want to be beholden to one person anymore or one company anymore.
So, what would the 25-year-old Jeff? What would the 50-year-old Jeff tell the 25-year-old Jeff?
Start buying real estate. I didn't really
Yeah.
start until my 30s, till my mid 30s, really.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for about 15, 16 years. So I wish I started it earlier. And I would, there's a lot I would tell the 25-year-old Jeff, I would ask him to probably have a little bit more work-life balance. As I said before, that was kind of one of my struggles, but I also think my work ethic is what's got me where I am today. So I don't know if I would have talked my 25-year self out of any of the stuff that I've done.
You've talked a little bit about goals. You have any long-term goals for the real estate investment company? Is it legacy? Is it something you plan on passing down to your kids, or are you going to cut it off at a certain time?
Yeah, man, that legacy piece, again, as we get older, right? As we hit that 50-year-old number, it starts to really be a thing we talk about.
Right.
I would love to, but also I'm not even sure what that means. I have my 15-year-old, she and my 9-year-old, they want nothing to do with real estate, right? And I want them to find their passion and them to go after it. So I think I would love to hand it over to them. I would love to have X amount of units, whatever that number will be when I'm all done, and hand it over to them. But what I'm most proud of from the legacy standpoint is even if they sell them all, there's going to be enough money there to kind of protect them a little bit and give them a little bit of a safety net. And ultimately, that's, as a father, that's all I really want to do, is just provide some security to my kids. So if that means legacy, I guess that's what the long-term goal is.
That's awesome. That's really. What about the coffee shop?
Yeah, the coffee shop, I talk about opening a bunch of them, and certainly I might, because that's where my mind goes to.
Right.
But something about that coffee shop I like. It's such a communal base. I'd have to find the right spot to do it again. So that might be a one and done kind of concept. Ride it out as long as I have still a lot of love for that business, which hopefully is a long time, because I'm addicted to coffee. I don't really drink that much. I don't do anything else. Coffee's kind of my kind of addiction. So I don't see that going away anytime soon. And I got all the lattes I can drink now that I own the
Do you drink it
place.
at night?
I have the occasional glass of wine on occasion. Yeah.
No,
But
do you drink coffee at night?
no, I usually stop drinking coffee around 2:00. I start to, now let me preface this. I drink a lot of coffee in the morning, so
Okay.
by one or two,
Got
I'm
it.
shaking a little bit. It's time to stop.
I love an evening cup of coffee. You know what? Um, I like tea a lot now, believe it or not.
Mm, sure,
I got
sure.
into tea, so I like a nice hot cup of tea in the evening. But I don't mind a cup of coffee around 6 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah,
And yes, it does keep me up a little bit, but it's just something that's warm about it.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. I agree.
It
The one thing that has changed with my coffee drinking since I opened it is I used to just be a black cup of coffee. That was what I
okay.
was before I opened it. Once you work and own a coffee shop and you start to do the whipped creams and the chocolate drizzles, it's tough to go back to a black cup of coffee. So I get
Oh,
now I'm
you
iced coffee with a shot of espresso and whipped cream and
oh yeah, but when you
chocolate.
can't button your pants,
Yeah.
you kind of change that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I'm looking back to black coffee soon.
yeah. Any long-term projects that we should know about? Ventures on the
Yeah,
horizon?
I'm always looking for more properties. I definitely want to do some land development as well and do some
Mhm.
bigger projects. The 10 unit building I bought a couple years ago really opened my eyes from a cash flow standpoint, what the
Yeah.
bigger unit can do in comparison to single family or 2 units. So I want to do some bigger stuff. But again, in a real estate investing world, single family flips are the bread and butter of this business. So that's what my business kind of thrives on, and that's what we're always looking for. So I'm one of those guys that has a pretty, strict business plan. I know a good deal when I see it. I'm just going to
Right.
keep plugging away and keep working hard for another 20 years, and then go sit on the beach somewhere. That's the long term
If you
plan.
don't mind me asking, just for the public, how many do you have any vacancies right now?
I do. I have two vacancies currently. One was from an eviction, and one was a property that we just bought and we renovated, and it's been on the market for a rental for about 2 or 3 weeks now. And the eviction one's been empty we haven't collected rent in about 6 or 7 months, but we should have that on the market for rent in about another week or two.
Speaking of that, do you do
Just
short-term
so
rentals?
just two. Two is not bad for the
No,
properties
that's
that we have.
great. That's amazing. Do you do short-term rentals, Airbnb,
Yeah,
VRBO type
yeah.
stuff?
I bought a vacation house in Mystic, Connecticut.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone's ever been to Mystic, but it's my
I
favorite
know the
spot. So we
movie
bought a
Mystic
property there.
Pizza.
Yeah, yeah, Mystic Pizza. We live
Crazy.
right around I have a house right around the corner from Mystic Pizza,
Okay.
and that's kind of a vacation spot for me and my family. But we put it up on short term rents on VRBO and Airbnb when we're not there. Summertime it does great. Winter not so much, but it offsets the payment. And I'm a big believer in Airbnb, especially when you're buying it for yourself. And then it's a spot you and your family can go, and then you can offset the payment with short term rentals. Certainly a win-win, and that's what we do in our Mystic, Connecticut house.
Do you have any wild hair dreams like writing a book, making a movie, making a documentary, anything like that?
No, I think, Chris, if there was ever a movie made about me, it would be pretty boring. It would be, oh, he's watching YouTube again, drinking coffee, and looking at crappy houses. It would be a boring movie. Um, my kids wouldn't even watch it. So no, I don't think there's any big plans for that. Um, I'm not a. I did write. Me and my daughter wrote a children's book
There you
10 years
go.
ago, but I don't see us doing that. It was kind of just a thing for her and I. So no, I don't think there's any big plans on that. This is about the wildest thing I'll do. Come on here and talk about my life a little bit on a podcast with people I'm friends with. So that's
Exactly.
the wildest thing for me.
It's great.
Yeah.
So a lot of some people may want to reach out to you, Jeff. How would they reach you? What's the best way to communicate with you?
Yeah, probably the best spot. Find me on any social media platform. Jeffrey Miller is what the name is on Facebook and Instagram. You can find the Upton Coffee Company on Facebook as well.
Mhm.
My email for my properties is jemhomesny@gmail.com. But I'm pretty easy to find. If you
Yeah, everybody
search
knows
me on
Jeff.
social
Go ahead.
media, you'll find me. I'm friends with a lot of people that would listen to this. So
Some people have probably already gone to your old job and knocked
probably I have had people call me already
because you just did this in December, right? So it's only been 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 6 weeks since I left, and so yeah, this is a still a new thing for me. This full time entrepreneurship.
I can't wait till people watch this podcast and be like, I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of people would know because I've taught. People have called me and asked me questions about the mortgage. And I answer the question,
Yeah.
and then I say, "But I'm actually not there anymore." So it's
We
but
have
I'm always there to help. If people call me with mortgage questions, I I've answered every question under the sun, so I'll
But this
continue
should
to
make
do.
you feel good. We have real estate Facebook groups, real estate agent Facebook groups, and people will ask, "Do you know anyone that can do such and such?" And I still see Jeff Miller scrolling up. I mean, nah, he's long gone.
Yeah, just put in there like, no, he's making a cappuccino
He's
today
in
instead.
Aruba.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, Jeff, listen, this was awesome. Is there anything that you want the audience to know that I did not ask?
No, I think just to say it again, find a passion that you have and follow it, and then try to monetize it. Turn it into a business. I had 10 different side hustles and 9 of them failed. Well, 8 of them failed. The 2 that haven't is my property business and my coffee shop. And then those led me to the life I have now. So if you fail, it's okay. Start another business and keep trying. And eventually you'll be able to leave that corporate job.
All right. Well, Jeff, kiss Nicole and the kids for me. Let them know I
I
said
will.
hello.
Thank you,
This will
buddy.
be, it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be, and speaking of that, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, wherever you can get your podcast platform, it'll be there and it'll be on YouTube. So please watch, give us thumbs up, 5 stars, subscribe, the whole 9, whatever you can do to support us. I don't make any money from this. It's just for the love of it and reconnecting to my community. Jeff, you have a good night. I got one more topic to talk about after you leave. So enjoy tonight, man. Try and get some sleep too. Don't drink too much coffee.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the opportunity, man. Great to see you.
Take care, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Jeff Miller. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, real estate investment. But I think the the big message we were trying to convey is that if you have a dream, do it. Don't wait too long. There is going to be some adversity. There's going to be some strife. There may be some struggle, but don't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Isn't that the definition of insanity? It's just like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, sitting behind a desk, hoping your life changes. You're not getting the advancements or the promotions. Your pay's not increasing. You're complaining about the economy. Damn it, go do something about it. You do not have to be at the mercy of this economy. You don't have to be at the mercy of a president or a governor. Just go change your life. Now, the second, we're almost done. The next 10 minutes, I want to talk about something. I saw a Facebook post and it really, really irritated me recently. And it was about this wave of people. Basically, the media and other pundits are telling people it's probably a better time to rent over buying a house. And I always go, you know what? And you go, why? And they give you all these monetary reasons why people want to rent over buying a house. It's always economics, economics, economics. But do you know the people that come to me that say, I need to buy a house? It has nothing to do with economics. All right. I'm going to give you some really quick reasons why people want to buy that has nothing to do with economics. Some people already know that when I go to buy a house, I'm probably going to spend more than my current rent. That's never a question. If their rent's $1,400 a month, they're probably already saying we can afford up to $1,900 or $2,000. They already know they're going to spend more, but they want to buy a house for other reasons. And let me talk about some of those reasons having nothing to do with economics. All right. Equity building. When you buy a home, like your mortgage payments contribute to ownership and allows you to like build equity over time. Renting doesn't offer this financial benefit. There's also long-term investments. Home ownership has the potential for property value appreciation, offering financial gains in the long run that renting just won't provide. There's also stability and control. Owning a home provides a sense of stability and you have the freedom to personalize and modify and modify the property as you wish. You can't do that with a rental. I remember one time, there's so many people out there who go, damn it, I need to buy a house. Why? Because my landlord wouldn't let me put a satellite dish on my roof. Those are some of the reasons that people want to buy. Nothing to do with how much the rent is. You have predictable payments. There are some people in some developments whose rent was $1,700 and they were told when they renew their lease, their rent is going to go up to $2,300. If you have a fixed rate mortgage, your payments remain consistent. Financial predictability. Renters may face a significant rental increase. And who wants to be scared by that? And guess what? Now you're forced out of your apartment. There's also tax benefits. Um, Homeowners may enjoy tax advantages such as deductions on mortgage interest and property taxes. Renters have very, very, very limited tax benefits. Then there's that sense of ownership. Owning a home comes with psychological benefits. Like me this morning, snow blowing my driveway. That felt good. There's pride, there's security. You're taking care of something that you own. It's yours. Yes, it's the bank, but it's yours. You're paying for it to be yours. The bank doesn't put a penalty on whether you want to make that yours in 20 years or whether you want to make it yours today. It can always be yours. There's also mitigating risk. Why real estate carries like risk, with careful research and planning, it can help mitigate some of those risks. Makes homeownership a more secure investment in the long run. Then there's asset diversification. You got money in a 401k, you got money in a money market, you got money in high yield savings, and you got money in real estate. Like real estate ownership provides this valuable form of asset diversification, balances your investment portfolio, reduces overall risk compared to relying solely on financial assets. You can't do that with renting. All right. Potential for a home office. Did you know you can't have a home office in a rental? Because you don't own that. So you can't deduct. That's not an itemized deduction, a home office, if you are renting the property. You can't rent a rental. So homeownership allows for greater flexibility in creating a home office or a workspace, adapting to changes and work trends, and just promoting a healthier work-life balance, especially since the pandemic when there is so much remote work. So you can actually write off um, an office in your house. Then it's the control over expenses. Homeowners have this, property related costs such as maintenance. They have more control over certain expenses compared to renters who might face unexpected rent hikes, as we talked about earlier, without any negotiation power. A development can tell you your rent's going up $600 in January or at the end of your lease, and there's nothing you can do about it but move. What about building credit history? Do you know that there are no credit score mortgages where what they do is they take, they'll take 12 months of rent, but once you get in the house, the year after I bought my house, my credit score probably shot up 30, 40, 50 points because I owned a home and I had a mortgage and I owed somebody 300 and blah blah $1,000. All right, so keep that in mind. Consistent mortgage payments contribute positively to your credit history, and it potentially improves your credit score over time. Rent payments typically don't have the same impact on credit, but with a multitude of rental payments, you can buy a house on a no credit score mortgage. Then there's security against market fluctuation. That's huge because the market's been going like this since 2019. And if you remember 2007 through 2009, the market was a big wave. So real estate markets they're more stable compared to a stock market. Offers a level of security against economic downturns and as we talked about market fluctuation. There are no renting restrictions. Homeownership eliminates concerns about changing, rental rules or the possibility of eviction. And what about all you people who have furry creatures? You don't have to find a place for your dog or your cat or your ferrets or your 10 animals. No rental restrictions. There's no HOA. Well, there are HOAs, but that's up to you to decide if the HOA is for you. It's not like your landlord is giving you HOA rules. You decide whether you want to take the HOA. No one's forcing you to buy that house with those HOA rules. That's up to you. What about renovations and improvements? I'm tired of this kitchen. I am so tired of this bathroom. Call your landlord up and go, will you remodel my kitchen? 9 times out of 10, it's a hell no. All right. So homeowners can invest in renovations and improvements. And a lot of people that come to me and say, Chris, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a house because I hate my kitchen. I hate my bathroom. I hate my layout of the apartment I live in or the house that I'm renting. Excuse me. So renters, like, they typically don't have the same incentive to upgrade someone else's property. The last place I rented, I put a new fridge in there and a new stove, and I left without them. But I was okay with that because the house I bought was a renovation and all the appliances were new. But what if I was to move into a place with old 1986 appliances and I thought, man, I left my brand new stainless steel appliances at the old house that I rented. You also have a sense of belonging. If you're a renter and you live in a development and just about everybody else in that development owns their home and you're renting yours, you just feels like I don't know how long I'm going to be here. So owning a home is like it often fosters like a deeper sense of belonging to the community. You can be part of the local next door community if you want, or be involved in some of the homeowner decisions or the development and community decisions. And homeowners tend to engage more in local events and social activities. So just keep that in mind. Then you have a freedom to choose property types. You can't do that with rental. You look for what's available for rent and you just go rent it. So I have a lot more reasons that I tell my customers who are thinking about buying, and they say, Chris, why should I buy right now as opposed to keep renting? And these are the things I talk about. I don't want to talk about, well, renting is uh, cheaper than buying or vice versa. The economics of it all really, really, really doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and nor is it always true. That's going to change. So I just want to tell, especially real estate agents out there, don't buy into all the media hype and the magazines and YouTube posts you read about. It might be easier to rent right now because of the high down payments and the interest rates. And you know what? You're a good real estate agent. I know you guys out there. You can prepare your clients and customers to buy if you tell them all of the right information. And you can tell them why buying is a good choice right now. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. I just wanted to go over that rental versus buy thing. Thank you to Jeff. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give me 5 stars on the podcast. Make sure you watch it. Share it with your friends. I put a post up the other day that right now I have like 4,000 viewers that are watching me on different platforms. But that 4,000 was YouTube. I think it was YouTube only. Yeah, it was YouTube only, and that was awesome. That I got. You won't see a lot of subscriptions or a lot of likes, but you will see the views, and you will see people that are liking the Real Estate Happy Hour and the shorts and the reels that I do. I hope I'm putting out some valuable information, but keep doing it. I am going to have more guests like Jeff. That way I don't have to talk for an hour. And we'll just build and grow from there. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for joining me and watching later. Don't forget, I'm on all of your podcast platforms, and I'm definitely on your YouTube. You guys take care. Have a nice night. You guys take care. This is the Real Estate Happy Hour, and I'm your host.